Welcome, everybody, to Service Drive Revolution. I'm Chris Collins, and this is the CEO of NASA in the Westminster Dog Show, Christian Lafferty. Say hello, Christian.
Hello, everyone. How are you doing today? How are you?
They can't answer you, bro. They're just listening.
I hear him.
This is a one-way thing.
I hear the voice in my head going off.
Today, we are talking about throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I think that's something that's very common in our industry. And Christian and I have compiled a list for you of situations where we throw the baby out with the bathwater. If you do not understand what throwing the baby out with the bathwater means, it's a term from, I don't know, the 1700s, maybe 1600s?
I don't know.
1500s? Before Jesus. This term was used to say that when you throw out dirty bathwater, you don't throw out the baby too, right? And a lot of times that's what we do is, because of one little thing, we throw out the whole thing. Right. It's a fun list. It's going to be great. And then we're going to answer questions also from the audience. Remember, if you have a question and we play it on the show, we're going to send you some swag. The number, write this down in your phone, or if you have a pen or pencil handy, is 8333-ASK-SDR. That's 8333-ASK-SDR. Or if you don't have the little letters on your phone, it's 833-327-5737. Just call, leave your question there like a voicemail, and we will play it on the show and send you some swag and hopefully answer your question. Also, you're not limited to just questions about service drives or parts departments.
Life questions are welcome.
If you're stuck, relationship advice, whatever you need, call in. Christian and I are here to help you perform, make more money, have freedom, get a raise, be the envy of everybody in your city? Circle of city, life? Whatever it is. I've had this question that I've been wanting to ask you, but I wanted to ask it on the show. Right. Because I didn't want to ruin it. But I did read the other day that they raised the price of the self-driving option on Teslas. Yeah. The autopilot, is it called autopilot?
Autopilot, that's exactly right.
So I remember when you bought your Tesla, I think the autopilot was like $6,500?
I think it was like almost 9. It was under 9, but it was pretty close. And then it went down to $4,200.
Oh, it did? Why
there
did
was
it go
a
down?
2-month promotion where they said, we're going to raise prices.
So the cool thing, Christian showed me this when he got his Tesla, is literally Tesla has stuff you can buy in a menu. You don't have to go to a service department. You don't have to call anybody. Like, literally, you just buy it and they have your credit card on file?
That's it. Like, I have my account. I can very carefully spend 10 grand just by hitting a button.
What other things? Are you buying apps in there?
You can buy apps.
What kind of apps?
Well, obviously, my favorite is the Tesla Karaoke, where you can drive down and actually karaoke.
And they charge for that?
Yeah, it's an
How
app
much
that
is
you
it?
add on. A couple $100, I think.
It's a couple $100?
So.
And you bought that?
No, but I will eventually.
I'm sure we have people for a couple $100 that would just ride around with you and sing to you.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
So karaoke's $200. What else is in there?
Oh gosh, what's some other stuff? Well, they have like a whole network in terms of streaming for podcasts and music and everything like that. That's all part of it. That was included with my first year of internet.
But then after that, you got to pay for it?
After that, you got to pay for it.
When I had my BMW, which I no longer have, but I had a newer sporty, it was a 650 convertible. My iPhone never synced up with the phone, and then if you plugged it in instead of doing Bluetooth, then the Bluetooth wouldn't work, and then sometimes the Bluetooth wouldn't work and you'd have to plug it in, and it never showed the actual song that was playing. It was a disaster. And I think it's interesting that car manufacturers don't give service departments the ability to sell upgraded software, because I would have paid $200 for sure just to get that to work right. It's interesting, in the Jeep truck I've been driving, the software is perfect.
Yeah, Uconnect's actually a pretty good product, what you have in the Jeep.
It's called Uconnect? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
It's great.
I'm a big fan.
Like, you can text on there, everything.
Yep. It's top notch. I think that's probably one of the best things that Chrysler has.
Never had a syncing issue. By the way, Bluetooth or plugged in works great.
Yep.
No issues whatsoever. But it's interesting in a BMW that maybe is a $100,000 car compared to that Jeep, I think was 55 or 56.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
That the technology is so much better in the Jeep than in a BMW. But don't you think it's interesting that Tesla is selling that direct to consumer from an app store, and the other manufacturers aren't catching on to maybe people would be willing to pay for an update?
Yeah, I think that's the thing is that the Tesla makes it really easy.
And they update from a satellite, right?
From a satellite. All I have to do is every once in a while I have to park the car outside and then have an internet connection, and then it does an update. There are certain car updates, like it'll send updates to the car without having to go anywhere. I've never had to take that thing in.
Yeah, I think that BMW dealers could, I think that the service advisors could sell that all day long. And I don't know, other manufacturers because I don't have a ton of experience, but I got to imagine that consumers would love to do that. And it's a way to, not cut the service departments out, but actually pull them in.
Right.
Into the transaction.
I think so too. Give them a name and a face and facilitate the transaction, I think.
Yeah, pay the tech a half an hour to flash it or
that's it.
Whatever it does. So you did not want, I remember when I was asking you before, you didn't care about autopilot.
Correct.
Why?
I think because, at least at this point, I don't use the car enough, I think, to warrant the cost of the autopilot, because it's only a lease, so I'm going to give it back in 2 years. I think if I'd purchased it, I might actually consider the autopilot function. But, I don't know, maybe I'm stuck in my ways a little bit, that there's still part of me that doesn't trust it, which is ironic because I'm not a good driver.
You kind of like to drive.
I do like to drive.
Yeah. That would be the thing for me, too, is I like to drive. That's a hard disconnect, but I do think as cars progress and they're driving themselves, you're going to feel different about the car.
It's just going to be, it'll feel more like a train or a subway where it's just your mode of transportation. I remember it's been a few months.
You're going to want Wi-Fi.
Yeah, but that's the thing is I remember Jeremy specifically talking about what did you do if you have a self-driving car? He's like, I would work. And I'm like, oh yeah, think about the efficiency that you can have. If you got a 45-minute commute, the car's doing all the work, what can you get done before you even get into the office? I love the efficiency part of the whole thing too.
I know you lease your Tesla out on Turo.
I do.
So Turo is like an Airbnb app for cars, which is great. Whenever I've gone to cities, instead of renting a rental car, I'll rent a car on Turo, and you can get really cool cars for what it would cost. Like if you go to Hertz, the car is going to be $100 a day. You can get a pretty cool car on Turo for less than that. It includes insurance, and it's usually pretty easy.
Yeah.
Does having the autopilot make the price on Turo more or less?
So from what I've seen, and there's not a ton of Teslas on Turo, which is really a good thing for me, right? So as a renter, but there's definitely an increase in terms of what they can charge per day for the premium if you have the autopilot on there. It's almost double, not quite, but it's pretty close.
Were you with me when I took the elite group to Tesla?
No, I missed it.
So the very first thing, I bought this package at a charity thing. John Varvatos had a charity thing, and I bought this VIP trip to Tesla, and I took the elite group with me. And one of the first things that the guy said that toured us around is Elon's vision for Tesla is that the car will go pick up the kids, bring them home, go pick up dad, and then while everybody's eating dinner, the car's out doing like an Uber type thing, right? And so it's making you money, and that's why he believes that the value of Teslas will go up over time. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of interesting that you're making money on your Tesla on Turo.
Yeah. There's also, you could make a point of contention that the car's safer with someone else driving it instead of me too.
Oh, that's for sure. You're a terrible driver.
But I love it. I have so much fun.
You might be the worst driver.
I take it.
I'm trying to think.
I've been with some pretty bad drivers that have worked with us before.
Worse than you?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that's like, asking the serial killers in jail, who's the worst killer?
Is Dahmer worse than Gacy kind of thing?
At some point, it's just bad.
Yeah.
It's not safe.
That's true.
When somebody rents the Tesla from you on Turo, do they have to be able to charge it? Do people have their own Tesla chargers?
So the thing that I've set up with Turo is that I've got an option on there for an extra $25. I give it to them with the full charge, and then they don't have to charge it coming back, so they don't have to stop and charge or anything like that. But you can stop
That's
it.
$25? Mm-hmm. How many people take that option?
Everyone since I put it on there, as a matter of fact, because they don't want to stop for the hour to do the charging.
How many miles can the Tesla go without a charge?
Supposedly 300. Like the way that I drive, I get about 210 because I'm a little bit heavy-footed.
But hypothetically, like just about everywhere you go, they could plug it in.
That's right, because there's Tesla superchargers, especially in California. Like there's Tesla superchargers everywhere around the LA area. And even when I went to Vegas a couple of weeks ago, like there were these really nicely planned stops. So it's easy. It's easy to travel with that car, but essentially you just go up, you plug in to Tesla supercharger, it bills it to my account, which essentially what ends up happening is I make money out of it anyways, because what it costs to charge it isn't what I bill for the premium. So it works out pretty well.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
okay,
it's a lot of fun.
Throwing the baby out with the bathwater. This is kind of fun. Okay, we'll start with a couple easy ones. But the premise here is that a lot of times we tend to overreact to things that we should not overreact, and we throw the baby out with the bathwater. We throw out everything instead of just fixing the one issue.
Right.
Or not giving up on it or whatever it is.
Completely dump the whole project, right?
So a couple that I've seen a lot is places that don't take checks anymore because somebody bounced a check.
Yeah, that's horrible, isn't it?
So, even with big fleet customers or whatever, that's always really funny to me.
Yeah, especially too, like with Check-O-Matic and stuff like that. There's so many ways to try to protect yourself, but like if you get 1 out of 500 bounce checks, I'd be surprised. Like it's not very common, but man, talk about making it harder to do business with you. That's a little bit of a trick when you say you can pay. No, you can't do that. No checks from the business. It's a little bit of a nightmare.
And then Amex.
Yeah, Amex Discover. I remember people dumping Discover because they had an issue with Discover before too.
So the thing with Amex, whenever I would go in to fix a service department, especially in like a Mercedes, Rover, BMW, like a higher end service department, the advisors would always say like, it's a huge complaint that we don't take Amex and our customers hate it. And I always just raise the price.
Yeah, because I think that's one of the things that's a detractor on Amex is that the fees are higher.
Yes, but do customers come in and ask the labor? Like most customers don't even know. They're buying tires, they're buying a water pump, they're buying a service, whatever it is. But I can make more money by just raising the price and absorbing the Amex into it and letting the consumer pay for it, right?
Makes sense to me.
It's an easy fix, but it always seems like you're losing that brand recognition too also, right? Because people that have their Amex Black card, they want to be acknowledged for that, and they don't get to show off by throwing it out there. And,
right.
All my friends that have Amex Black cards, they can't wait to pull it out.
I'll take care of this.
Yeah, I got
it.
Here's my Black card.
And they show it to you for like 2 minutes before they actually hand it off.
It's sitting there on the table forever.
Oh, is that mine?
It's funny. Okay, you had one software upgrade?
Yeah, so it was actually a little bit of a continuation of what you were talking about. So a really good example of throwing the baby out with the bathwater would be that we have all these beautiful software upgrades that customers can come in. We do software upgrades, and on one car we have an issue with the ECM. And then we're like, nope, we're not doing software upgrades anymore. We can't do it. We can't afford it. Like, that's throwing the baby out with the bathwater, is completely throwing away a revenue stream because of one bad issue.
Yeah. Then a big one that I've seen a lot is accessory sales. So we'll accessorize something, like we'll put wheels and tires on something, or we'll modify something, and then either especially in a car dealership, we'll sell it without accounting for it right, or the customer wants to buy but they don't want the wheels and you don't have a tech there on Sunday to take them off, or whatever it is, and instead of just writing a WIO for it to be done on Monday, you just, no, we don't want that.
No, thank you.
Meanwhile, in most markets, if you sit in the service drive and just look at the cars coming in, probably half of them have some sort of upgraded wheels or something to personalize.
Yeah, they're modifying the cars. Whether the dealership chooses to participate in it or not, they're doing it because it's an identity of themselves and everything like that, especially some of the brands that you mentioned, like BMWs. People love to personalize those. And then Jeeps. I think Jeep is probably one of the more personalized brands out there. Like, people are doing really cool stuff to Jeeps. And the dealers just are kind of, they're not taking taking part in it. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me.
They'd rather they go to an independent and get a lift kit or whatever.
Yeah. And again, it's probably just because of one car that had some sort of warranty issue because there was aftermarket parts on it and they didn't want to deal with the hassle, so they just got rid of it.
Yeah, that's the other thing that's easy to fix is have them sign a release for the warranty.
Yeah, as long as the customers know. I think that's the big thing. And don't kid yourself. A lot of the customers know if they modify their car, there could be concerns about warranty later on down the road. Like, they're not idiots. I remember when I worked as a service manager in a Chrysler store, like, people would come in all the time, like with the lifted Jeeps, and what do they do with their Jeeps on the weekend? They'd go out and they'd go in mud bogs. Well, this is Florida. So they go out and then they drive around in big mud puddles. And then they'd come in and their differentials would be full of mud and oil and everything like that. And then we'd be like, well, you're going to have to replace this part. And it's not under warranty. Like, are you sure? We're like, yeah, we're pretty sure. But if you want to see all the caked up mud underneath your vehicle, that's okay. Go ahead and take care of it. Like, they know. They're aware.
They're customers that do those sort of things, like to their Jeeps and modify them, are more loyal, and you're in their club. And so by not doing it and them taking it to the local independent that does the lift kits, you're kind of like saying, we don't care about you.
Yeah, but they embrace you as part of the club. They do a way better job of making it a tribe.
Because it's a lifestyle.
It's totally a lifestyle.
Then extended warranties. That's throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah. I love it. So what we're talking about there is that you have an extended warranty come in and there's a problem with collecting payment or authorization or something like that, and then you just go ahead and make the decision, we don't take any aftermarket extended warranties. That's another thing too, where I've seen dealers where they will not take extended warranties that send a check as opposed to doing a credit card payment. Like, they completely do away with that revenue stream too. Like, they're just making it harder to get money is what they're doing in those cases.
In my experience, so I've never ran into, but maybe you have, I've never ran into an extended warranty that didn't do a credit card anymore. So most of the time when that rule's in place, I just say no car leaves until we're paid.
Yeah.
And so, the advisor's got to be on the phone for an hour to get paid, but it's still worth it. And you can delegate that to warranty or a cashier or something too. No car washes because we broke an antenna.
This is probably we're dating ourselves a little bit here because I don't know.
I heard that not that long ago.
Okay, so in general,
because this is what happens is the service director, whatever, goes to NADA. They get sold a car wash by a bunch of buffoons at the NADA. They buy the car wash and then it breaks a couple antennas and then they're like, we're not washing cars anymore. Yeah. Most of the time, those car wash salespeople, like, I don't know, it's always better to wash them by hand. It's more efficient.
Oh, for sure, and it looks a lot better and everything like that, too. It's also a really nice differentiator. It's not enough, I don't think, always that the dealerships wash the cars, but when you're saying that you're hand washing cars, that just says I care. So I'm a big fan of that. But yeah, it's the antenna, it's the one scratch that the car wash does. Like, that's what makes people not wash cars. Another thing that I think that I've noticed, and maybe you've seen this too with our clients that are in cold weather states, is that, like, they start out with the car wash, they won't wash it below 20 degrees. And then something happens, and then it's 30 degrees.
Then they don't wash cars anymore.
Right, and it's like, it's got to be between 70 and 74 degrees in order for them to use the car wash.
Which it never is in Illinois, right? Except for 2 months a year.
Right. July 18th through the 23rd.
Another one that's funny is when they drop off with the shuttle. So a service department will drop customers off, but they don't pick them up. It's kind of like, we care half about this. We're kind of half into, but beyond that, it's your problem. Like, go around the office and beg somebody to drive you to pick up your car.
Help me, please. I can't.
Because one time a shuttle driver got stuck in traffic at 4 or something and was late picking up the customer.
Yeah, we can't have that. Let's just
so
do away
funny.
with it. We'll get you out of here, but we're not bringing you back.
And then valet too, right?
Yeah, so
Same sort of thing?
the valet thing, I've seen people completely go away from the whole valet system because they'll have one valet pickup that doesn't go right, like where the customer doesn't meet them or whether they don't get there on time because of traffic or whatever, and they'll be like, we're not doing valets anymore, we had this angry customer. Like they get to the GM or whatever and complain about the valet service, and then they come down with a hammer and be like, we're not doing it anymore. Like,
I know there's some we're missing on our list, so do us a favor, just because Christian and I like to laugh at this sort of thing, post in comments a situation where either you're guilty of or you've worked in a department where they threw the baby out with the bathwater. I want to...
It was fun compiling that list.
Yeah.
So we got to go take that trip down memory lane. Exactly right.
But post it in comments. We love, and if you post a good one, we'll send you some Service Drive Revolution swag.
Oh, I've got a question for you. What do you get when you cross a refrigerator and a stereo?
What do you get when you cross a refrigerator and a stereo? I don't think I know.
Drawing a blank. Eventually, you're going to get one of these right. Cool music. The refrigerator cools the music.
Yeah.
You didn't laugh.
It's a little bit of a letdown.
Not my best work.
I was thinking too in a Millionaire Service Advisor, the book that I wrote. It's called My Story: A System for Collecting and Caring for Customers. There's a part in there where I talk about how a dispatcher threw my RO in the alley, threw my ROs in the alley.
He threw everything out with the bathwater.
I'm sure that guy's dead now because he was barely hanging on when I worked there. But if he's still around and he's a dispatcher, I think his name was Joe. That if you knew how bad you sucked and how good I turned out, that would be funny.
Yeah. What's that story?
It was I think I've told the story on the show already.
Have you? Because I really like the story, but
about the Subaru SVX.
Yeah, in the
Didn't I just tell that story?
Maybe.
Yeah, but he was the dispatcher that was always pouring a little whiskey. His thermos had whiskey in it.
Yeah.
So he would go. He was the one there in the morning that would make coffee, and then he would pour. It was odd that he would get coffee from the coffee maker, but then was pouring something out of his thermos into his coffee.
And it probably wasn't creamer.
When he went to the bathroom once, and it was whiskey.
Of course.
He was drunk all the time.
That's crazy what our business was like in the 90s and 80s.
Oh, the blow.
Oh,
the
my
cocaine.
good Lord. That's what the parts department was for,
We
wasn't
missed that whole thing.
Yeah.
Oh, were you in on that?
No.
I missed the bankers taking you to lunch and having martinis, and the cocaine and all that.
Yeah, all I got was the stories. Like the place that I worked at had the stories, and it was just gone by 99 is when I started in the business.
I think the worst vice that we had was that we ate lunch at our desk, so we were eating bad.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that.
That was it.
Yeah.
Like nothing else. I don't know. Drinking at work and all that would be scary.
Especially at a car dealership. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's no way that ends well.
It's funny. If you don't have the Millionaire Service Advisor, you can get it at offers.chriscollinsinc.com. There's a special promotion on there if you want to pick that up or get a bunch of them for your service advisors. It's pretty fun. I was reading it and I wrote it a long time ago and it was pretty good. Pretty fun. Let's so we're gonna wrap up, and we're gonna do we'll do one question before we wrap it up. Let's take a question from the audience. Somebody who called in. I think I heard this question's really long.
About 2 minutes and 56 seconds, I think.
Have you heard it?
Yeah.
You have?
I've recently taken over the service department at a local auto service center where service is only about a quarter of the overall gross. I was brought in to the same place about 10 years ago to do the same thing, consult and troubleshoot. I left about 7 years ago. I was called again recently, and again the department is back to the same old business, right? The techs run in the garage and no systems in place, blah, 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 same old stuff. After about 3 months, the place has been up about 80%. Over the last 6 years, it's been in the red about 3 of those years and broke even about 3 years. After changing the culture, implementing systems and procedures, the department is up 80%, again, like I said already, week to week, and on pace for $1.2 million, which is just naturally what that shop will do without advertising and marketing. Just getting back to the basics, outworking everyone until they follow your lead. You know, the same old story. This leads me to my question. After all that hard work, there's still one major hurdle. This shop A-Tech, who is, again, messy at best, holding the department back with a steep salary and horrible productivity. I've managed to work around him, running the shop as efficient as I could with 6 other guys. It's the same technician that my second week there says to me in the garage in front of all the other techs and the owner that I should stay up front because he runs the back and I run the front. To which I replied, no, my friend, I run both. So you'll be seeing a lot more of me out here. The owner has been blinded by his own loyalty, in my opinion, to a 5-year employee who's been telling him what he wants to hear and chasing off other competent techs over the years. The owner's defense, he's not a service guy. He is running the 3/4 of other, the rest of the gross this overall company sees. And I would mention it, but it'd be too specific for this application here. I've managed to keep our cost, labor, net in line, worked around this tech to avoid misdiagnosis of customers' vehicles. I mean, he's not even in the ballpark most times. So the owner's now asking questions about this tech's salary versus productivity, which my response a few times has been, we've gone over this a few times. I've suggested that we dismiss him my 3rd week here. Again, 2 months in, again, 3 months in, after starting to realize that this owner maybe has a small soft spot for this guy. He's kind of eased up and learned again to work around this guy. And in this guy's defense, he's got a sweet thing going there. He knows I know what's going on. If the owner wants to put up with it, fine. But at some point, I start feeling guilty, and other technicians are bothered by this as well. This guy's got an ego, and he's rude. And again, they got to fix all his mistakes, and he was supposed to be the guy there. So, do I just fire this guy and save the owner from himself?
So I would go at this a different way. So whenever we go into a service department, there's always that guy usually that's not unique, and I'm sure you've experienced it also. And they're just kind of marking their territory. They know that they're not as good as what they're being paid, but their bills and everything else are matching what they're being paid, right? That's one thing that will happen is even though somebody maybe doesn't deserve what they're being paid, their bills and mortgage payment will catch up to what they're making pretty quick. And so I would make it about the production and the quality, and I wouldn't make it about the person in the beginning. So I would, every week I would do an Excel spreadsheet, and I would have everybody's efficiency and their cost and what the gross is on every tech. And I would just do a performance hierarchy, and I would give that to the owner, and I would actually give each tech their individual one. So I wouldn't, you don't want every tech to see what everybody else is making, but I would also have a board in the shop that listed out every day the efficiency. And then the next thing I would do is I would not protect the guy from comebacks. I would give him diagnosis. I would treat him in the way I dispatch, just like he was in A-Tech and the best there. And I would create a comeback sheet. And every time he had a comeback, I would give a copy to the owner and to him and put one in a file. Every time he has a comeback. So a comeback sheet would be like, the RO number, what vehicle, the original concern, and then what was wrong with it, and the fix and how much it cost to fix it. And I would, if that technician had to spend a couple hours, I would relate a cost to that, fixing it. And I would start tracking comebacks and then let the facts kind of work themselves out. But most of the time when we make it about our feelings and politics and jockeying for position, it just gets uglier. It doesn't get better. When you make it about the results and the outcome, sometimes they will fix themselves and other times they will go away. If it gets to the point where it's ramping up, I would call the owner in and I would just have a blunt conversation, and I would say, does this guy have naked pictures of you? Is there something I don't know? Because the evidence is the evidence and I don't understand. But I wouldn't do that for a couple months. I would go with the strategy that he probably will either tune up or go away if you just make it about the outcome and not about anything personal or politics, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing is when you make personnel decisions, and especially about talking about getting someone going down, if you are, doing it and playing the politics, it will almost never end how you think it's going to. Like, I've never seen where we try to save someone from themselves and they come back later and be like, I'm so glad you did that. What ends up happening really is it's like, why did you do that? Because what I heard from the voicemail is that the owner kind of, this person has the ear of the owner a little bit, which is a pretty dangerous position to be in if you're the person that's in charge of trying to get rid of them, because I don't think that, if anything, it would kind of put you into the political exposure. The only way to do this right is to do it by the facts and the results. Like, there's no other way to, and really that's how we should be doing human resource decisions in general, but I definitely like the thought of the comeback sheet is really smart.
Yeah, and I think too, like, if you take a little different approach with the guy, you might want to pull him in closer and actually like take him to lunch and be honest with him about what he's doing in a very calm way. Like, just like, hey, I'm here to turn this thing around, and like you're either on our team and refer to yourself and the owner as us, because if you're there for the performance of the business, it is us. It's not a territorial thing. It's an outcome of your efforts. Make it about the outcome of the efforts, but ask him about his ambitions and what's going on, and is he struggling with something, and bring up in a subtle way, like over lunch, like, you've had a couple comebacks recently. Don't you think that somebody at your level should be double checking their work? And you might, by pulling them in closer and having a little empathy and really trying to understand him, instead of just meeting his resistance with resistance, you might be able to fix him too, because, there is a value to a technician if you can fix them. Yeah,
the best case scenario is not that technician leaves. The best case scenario is that they flip and become your teammate.
Yeah, he's telling you with his actions, if you listen, that he wants to belong, that he's looking to feel important. His whole driver there is ego and somebody stroking him, so stroke him. Like, who cares? Like, I think one of the most important sayings in business is, if you're listening to this, Christian's eyes, I pointed at him, I said, the most important saying in business, and then I pointed at him like, hey, what is it? Like, this is a test. And his eyes got as big as grapefruits.
Which is, I don't know where you're going, but I'm hoping once you say it, I'll know.
I'd rather win than be right. I'm not looking to be right. Yeah. I'm looking to win. So I don't need to be right. I'm not right a lot. I'll listen. It's like people who are like, oh, you should never talk politics. That's because they're stuck in their opinion. I'll talk politics because I want to understand. It doesn't take that long for me to figure out that you don't know what you're talking about most of the time, but I still have great conversations with people about things that I learn a lot. And even if I don't agree with them, it's fascinating to understand why they see it the way they do. Like how their parents did such a terrible job that they ended up that messed up, or whatever it is. And so I don't want to be right. I want to win. And think the same thing with him. Like, if he's a tech and you can balance out the score and balance out the pay and figure it out, the truth is your friend. Just go with the truth. Create a hierarchy of performance, create accountability, and then encourage him on the other end, and he'll either come or he won't. But that's leadership to me in a lot of ways, right?
I agree. That's great.
Great question. Thank you so much for that. And we'll send you some swag. Remember, if you have a question, 8333-ASK-SDR. 8333-ASK-SDR. Fun show. Throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
I have a question.
That just bounces off the tongue.
It really does. It's a great term. I remember the first time you told me that, I laughed a lot.
You have a question? You're going to call it 8333-ASK-SDR.
I know. I think I might. I've got a couple of things. Relationship advice for sure. But do you like my shirt?
Oh, parts hold. Yeah, if you're listening to this and not watching it, Christian has a shirt on, an SDR shirt. Are we gonna sell these?
Yes, so these will be available. So I think what we're gonna do is you're going to see a series over the next couple of weeks of different parts hold shirts, and we might put the the best voted one into circulation, but essentially, it's pretty darn good. Mama Bear made this one.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
You'll have to go to YouTube if you're listening to see it, but parts hold. It's pretty funny.
It is funny.
Thanks, you guys. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time on Service Drive Revolution. Thanks so much for watching this episode of Service Drive Revolution. We're uploading new stuff every day, so make sure you subscribe and click the bell icon so you don't miss out. If you have a question you'd like us to answer on the show, call 8333-ASK-SDR and we'll answer your question on the show. That's 8333-ASK-SDR. For special deals on our books and training, head over to offers.chriscollinsinc.com. Now that's offers.chriscollinsinc.com. I'm Chris Collins, and I'll see you in the next video.